So it's Father's Day today, and like most of you watching, I inherited my Minnesota Fighting Vikings fandom from my dad, and my dad got it from his dad. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's like, hey son, hey, and the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon. Here's a lifelong affiliation with this team that will absolutely break your heart and just kick you in the nuts at every single opportunity. It's just great. But I was just thinking back. As a kid, some of my favorite memories do circle around sports, and notably the Minnesota Vikings. And it's just as trivial and silly as sports ball is. You got millionaire athletes playing a kids game. It really does bring families together. It does bring fathers and sons, fathers and daughters together. And frankly, there's some of the best memories that I've ever had, because I just remember as a kid, just on Sundays, it's the typical Minnesota upbringings. Like, you go to church and then all of a sudden you get there at noon, the Vikings playing the Bears, and Grandpa and Grandma make up a nice little spread. We're having some family dinner or watching the Vikings beat the living crap out of Jim McMahon and the stupid Bears. Actually, now who would have been? Because McMahon had a stretch where he was with the Vikings too, which is funny. It would have been like Walsh. No, Chris Miller. Some Bears quarterback of no note, right? And it would have been like Dick Duran or like Dave Wanstead era. That's funny, but it's just. That's completely not uncommon, right? So just getting together with family, sharing a moment for a couple of hours, and especially when you got kids that are starting to grow up and grow out. You got teenagers who'd much rather hang out with their friends than their family. Just hanging on to those fleeting moments, they're important, right? And so start at the beginning. So my grandpa, Vikings came in 1961. He would have been 35 or so. Yeah, so my dad and my uncle would have been relatively young kids. But, yeah, Vikings come in 1961. Here we go. And a lot of my anecdotal knowledge of Vikings history does come passed down from him and passed down to my dad, because I could just remember being like a young, precocious, annoying kid like everyone is. Like, so who was better, Fran Tarkenton or Warren Moon? Well, Fran Tarkenton was. I don't know. Warren Moon threw 122 catches to Chris Carter back-to-back years. You're no poop, Grandpa. You get out of here. All right, but yeah, I just remember that Grandpa had a thing against Tarkenton. Like, he thought that Fran Tarkenton was a little bit arrogant and was actually kind of happy when they traded him to the Giants. He was a big Joe Cap guy. And I understand, because after doing some research into Joe Cap, he's like, you got this hard playing, hard fighting, hard drinking, 40 for 60, just an absolute team first dude who quarterback who threw without the laces. You could never have another Joe Cap, but I could see the appeal, right? And then my dad's generation, because I remember the first game that my grandpa took my dad and my uncle to was when the Bills were playing at Met Stadium, the old place in Bloomington where the Mall of America is now. And they were so excited to see O.J. Simpson. The juice is loose, right? And this is what sports does. So in '94, after Juice got arrested for reasons, my dad was like, he couldn't have possibly done that. He was such a good runner. Oh, man, it's just so silly. But, yeah, I just remember as a kid, too, just like, all right, Dad, so who is better, Tommy Kramer or Dante? All right, and then he'd give me the look. It's like, how dare you put Dante in the same universe as Tommy Kramer? Tommy Kramer was the man. That old talk. And that's the fun thing about it, because I have no frame of reference for Tarkenton or Cap or really Tommy Kramer to a degree. But it's like respecting your elders, and then they're passing along these stories of glory gone by. Well, not so much glory, but you know what I mean. And it's almost like very primitive. It's like the back end of like human civilization in our DNA still, about when we learn from our elders, learn from previous generations, and just boiled it down into a micro version of modern day sports. And as silly and trivial as it is, it does bond people together. And like I said, just watching the Vikings play as Grandpa and Dad are popping off Busch Light BL smoothies and eating some popcorn and eating some dinner. It's just it's great. And also from age 9 to 2005 when my dad got sick. Like 2005 was the last year I remember that. We went to every single Vikings Packers home game. So Packers come into town, Minneapolis, head to the Dome, sitting in those tiny blue terrible seats and pissing in a trough. It was great. It was great, and it's still one of my favorite sports memories. It really is, because just getting up early, driving to town, watching the game, going home, half the time excited, half the time just like, ugh, stupid Brett Favre setting the touchdown record in the Metrodome to Greg Lewis. Wait, no, Greg Jennings. Yeah, the Greg Lewis one is better memory. But yeah, it's just, I understand how, if you take a step back, how just silly it is, right? But all these good memories shared with good people in your life, they'll always stick with you. Like how many fathers and sons, fathers and daughters, grandparents were at the Minneapolis Miracle together? Like, they will always have that moment. And when the Vikings finally do rip off a Super Bowl and take home that Jerome Barty, like how many fathers and sons, fathers and daughters are going to be together and just absolutely shed a tear, share the moment? Because I guarantee you, we've talked about this on here before. When the Vikings do hoist that Jerome Barty one time, my first thoughts will be about my dad and my grandpa. It's like how they would have absolutely loved and adored to see this. My grandpa and my dad, my dad too, lived through all 4 Super Bowl losses. My dad lived through all the championship game debacles. So actually, they both passed before 2009, so they missed out on that one. Probably a good one, right? So I don't know, like sports. As stupid as sports are, they just do tie us together, right? And it's important. It is important for bonds. I look forward to building those bonds with my kids. My son, my daughter, as God, just ruined for the Vikings. I don't know. Happy Father's Day. It's a good day today. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section. Everyone has a story. We want to hear yours. Father's Day, what it means to you. Was your dad a Vikings fan? Son going to be a Vikings fan? Grandfather? Great-grandfather for some of the youngins out there. I was like the young Vikings fans, like, well, when I was growing up, our quarterback was T-Jax. Like, how old are you? Let us know in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Skol, production value.